The problem I have with this one is that, first of all, it is not within the jurisdiction of this committee. It's within the Budget Committee's jurisdiction to make these decisions. We haven't considered it. I mean, generally it seems to me to make some sense, but in particular, distinction between the debt issued by Fannie and Freddie and the debt issued by the Department of Treasury, I'm not clear. Even when I was believing that the missions for affordable housing should be there, I consistently told people who were investing in either Fannie or Freddie that they should not consider that it was the same as a federal obligation. And I worry about the implications of that. I don't want people to think, because people might be buying these bonds, I would hope that we would not consider these obligations. I had a man write to me and say, what about my Freddie and Fannie stock? And I said, I've always told you it could be devalued. So I worry about the implications of the distinction between the debt issued by Fannie and Freddie and the debt issued by the Department of Treasury. I am not totally confident I know that now, but to the extent that the Fannie-Freddie debt is a lesser obligation of the federal government, I want to keep it that way. And that's a consistent position for myself. So I would not vote for this at this time. We are going to have hearings, and it may be, if that can be clarified, certainly I believe that there are elements which should be on budget, but putting the debt, treating the debt the same troubles me. And so I would yield back. Well, this is the gentleman's time, the gentleman from New Jersey.
Let me raise a point of order if I could, but there was no objection raised to the amendment. So I think the amendment is. Oh,
I didn't rule it out of order.
Okay,
no, that's a substantive reason not to do it.
Oh,
I
see.
think it's probably in order. Let me, if I can.
Okay, yeah.
There are no rules for this process. We can talk about
Okay.
China if we wanted to. As I understand it, we're giving advice. I'm giving my substantive reason. It's not. I was not ruling it out of order. Okay. I yield. The gentleman from New Jersey's time.
Well, thanks. I appreciate the substantive is not procedural. I go back to your opening comment, and you're probably right that, and I serve on budget, by the way, that much of what comes there as far as recommendations from the various committee may fall on somewhat deaf ears. But to the extent that there may be some ears that will be open to hearing a comment or two from the respective committees of jurisdiction and interest, then I think it is beneficial for us to make the statement. Just as an aside to the chairman as well, as I've noted, I do have a bill that does the same thing.
Yes,
and you know that bill has been sequentially
primarily there, secondarily here.
And so we're going to get it.
Yeah, but let me, after we have the benefit of, but the gentleman, what about the question of the the debt? Is it the same legal obligation? And that's the one thing that most concerns me. I don't want to elevate the claim that the debt holders here have on the federal government to the same level as a Treasury bond.
Well, I agree with the chairman on that, and I would be, after we pass this amendment, I would be more than happy to work with the chairman on doing legislation to saying specifically that it is not an obligation of the federal government, and that we direct the Treasury to do the opposite of what this and the last administration did, which is basically to say we're guaranteeing this stuff, because let me just say this, I'll throw it to you. It seems to me that if it's not sovereign debt, right, which I think is what you're suggesting, if it's not sovereign debt, then we, the government, should be in a stronger position to say to the creditors, 60% of which are foreign creditors, as you know, that we should be able to take some sort of a haircut here. But I'll be glad to work with you on that.
It does say no longer be a distinction between the debt issued by Fannie and Freddie and the Treasury. I want there to be a distinction.
Where?
And I don't want anyone to go by and say, oh, but you said there should be no distinction. Talk about the last paragraph, the middle lines. Line 3.
I see your point, but well, two things. One is, as of right now, until you and I work to figure out how we can get the administration to agree with this on us, I think the administration is looking at this, and the Treasury Secretary certainly is looking at this as an obligation of the government. And secondly, if that is the main obstacle, I'd be glad to take. That's the third paragraph. I'd be glad to drop that out and lose the other two, because I really want to get the thing on budget.
That would reduce it, because I am told that there is that distinction now, that they are not of the same order of claim. But I haven't looked at the rest of this, so even with that, I would still oppose the amendment, although we may be able to come together in something as we go forward later. But I think we may agree on what the end result should be. We differ on whether or not adopting the amendment should come before we hit that process. Okay. Is there further discussion? If not, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nugabow.
Thank you.